All right, today I'm looking at Marvel Team Up Spider-Man and Ghost Rider. It's Marvel Team Up number 15. It's a 20 center. It's from 1973. This is a book I picked up at an old used bookstore. I grew up on a college campus. Grew up like 2 blocks from a college campus. And in the right around 1977, I think 1978, there was an old bookstore in town. So I'd go through, and some of the comic books weren't in very good condition. It was like a dusty old bookstore, but he had a couple, but the owner had a couple boxes of older books, Marvel, DC, Richie Rich, stuff like that, but this is one of my first comic books that I ever picked up as a back issue, Spider-Man and Ghost Rider, Marvel Team Up 15. And of course, Evil Knievel. Evil Knievel was a big cultural icon at the time. So let's get right into it. Let's see here. Cool cover. Not sure who does that cover. I should know, but I'm looking for clues here. I'm looking for the old signature, but I don't see it. It's pretty cool though. Good Lord, I'll never stop this train in time. Spider-Man, reach out my hand or you've had it. It's like, now I'm going to die, but you better get off the tracks or you're going to die too. And it's, no, I don't think a subway train is going to kill Ghost Rider. It's definitely going to squash Spider-Man, but I don't think it's going to take out Ghost Rider. Yeah, Len Wein and Ross Andrew. The Marvel team-up started as Spider-Man and Human Torch, like the first 4 issues, but then they kind of branched out, and they did a couple issues with just the Human Torch, and then I think the sales were better with Spider-Man. I don't know why they did that. I know that the Human Torch and Ben Grimm, the Thing from the Fantastic Four, were 2 really popular characters. So the Thing, Ben Grimm, the Thing, got his own team-up book called 2-in-1. I'll be going over some of those. Those are some good books, some really good comic books from the 70s, later 70s. They had some really good story arcs. But anyway, here we go. Len Wein was the author, and Ross Andrew. Don Perlin is the inker. I hadn't seen many things inked by Don Perlin. He was like one of their staff artists for the longest time at Marvel in the late 60s all the way into the 80s, but he was kind of one of the old guard that got replaced, kind of had that old style. To me, Ross Andrew, to me, he's best known for his run in the mid 70s on the Amazing Spider-Man, and he was the artist that was on the book when I started reading comic books. So he's one of my top favorite Spider-Man artists. I like this picture of Mary Jane here, too. That's looking good. You'll love this show, Petey. I know you will. And they're here for Ghost Rider's Motorcycle Extravaganza. And like I said, Evil Knievel was everywhere in the 70s, man. You couldn't go a day without somebody talking about Evil Knievel somewhere. Let's see here. That's something I got to close there. There we go. And I don't believe it. I try to take a night off, and Spider-Man still haunts me. Some kid with a Spider-Man balloon. But yeah, I like the way Ross Andrew draws Mary Jane here. The old bell bottoms and the platform high heels, and you can definitely tell this is 70s. So they're going to a show here, and this is a badass picture here of Ghost Rider. Ross Andrew didn't. There's a couple characters Ross Andrew didn't draw that well, in my opinion. The Hulk is one of them. He drew a terrible Hulk, in my opinion, of course. But I thought the Ghost Rider here looked good. He also drew Punisher and the Hitman pretty cool in a Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man issue, and he had the Hitman on a motorcycle. Looked pretty cool, and like a mini helicopter. So, I mean, of course, it's exaggerated, and it's not the hell cycle like you see in that terrible Nick Cage Ghost Rider movie. Oh boy, I was so disappointed in that. Displayed in Marvel Spotlight 15. He's saying maybe coming back to the Garden was the right thing to do. Couldn't let Crash Simpson's death and the Ghost Rider's birth Keep Me Away from Here Forever. The full story was explained in Marvel Spotlight number 5. That's the origin of Ghost Rider. You can see he's got his posse here to help him with the show. Johnny Blaze. Now, for the first time anywhere, Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider. So he's just going as the Ghost Rider now. He's just not Johnny Blaze like stunt rider. In an exhibition of motorcycle wizardry that will amaze and astound you. I didn't know how he manages the makeup. See, one of the themes to the comic book is Peter Parker thinks this is just a makeup job. He doesn't realize he's possessed by like a supernatural demon. And that Ghost Rider is one impressive gent. So he's sitting there going, he thinks it's a mask or some kind of special effect. So you see him jumping over these riders going underneath here. And of course, one of these riders on his team is Roxanne Simpson, or Roxy. And that's the character Ava Mendez played in the movie. And that's the love of Johnny Blaze. Says, okay, MJ, you win. I'm glad I came. These guys are flat out sensational. Now, here's one of my favorite villains when I was a little kid. One of the first comic books I ever read off a spinner rack. My mom wouldn't let me buy it, unfortunately. I'll show it, but it was late 1975 in an actual Ghost Rider comic book. But I always thought this was cool. This just kind of blew me away as a kid. You know, come on, I'm like 7-year-old kid. The Orb. I always thought that was a really cool visual. Now I look at it, of course it's over the top silly, but I kind of like that, you know. So here these dudes are coming in, and they're coming in crashing the Ghost Rider party here of his little stunt performance in the garden. The Orb and his men go anywhere they like, and right now they like it here. Okay, mister, hold it. And he's got a hypnotic gaze with his helmet. I mean, what else would a big eyeball helmet do, right? Shoot, you're not going to shoot me. You got to put the gun away like a good fella now, won't you? He's sitting there sweating. Don't look at me like that. I mean it. I'll fire, I swear. I'll just put my gun away, and I'm a good fellow. I don't know what these goons are doing here, but I'm not going to wait to find out on my cycle. Johnny, don't. Those men have caused no real trouble yet. What do you mean? I mean, they're not part of the show. And here we go. Here's the Orb hypnotizing the audience. They're all wide-eyed, zombie looking. Petey, I may be crazy, but I got a creepy feeling something's wrong down there. That's not part of the show. Yeah, I've got a creepy feeling of my own. Yeah, it's called spider sense. Yeah, he goes, I better not look. He goes, because my spider sense is tingling like mad as that big eye comes near. Better not try to look at it till I know the score, the whole score. Wow, looks like the score is the Orb. The Orb 1, audience 0. So, I mean, I'm not sure how he could have heard him say he was the Orb from up in the stands, but oh well, it's comic books. Even MJ's in a trance. He's like, oh, yeah, perfect time to get away and change to Spider-Man. He's always got his web shooters on. I mean, Mary Jane can't see that. Like, hey, Petey, what do you got on your wrist, you know? He walks over like a web tightrope, and he's going to get changed here. I like the way Ross Andrew does Spider-Man. You know, most people's favorite Spider-Man artists are Ditko, Romita, or McFarlane, or what have you. What's another one? More modern one. Mark Bagley, maybe, or whatever. I always like Ross Andrew. It's kind of the Spider-Man I grew up on. And then the classic, of course, when I started getting into the back issues, John Romita. So those are always going to be my two favorite. I like Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. It took a little while to grow on me because I wasn't really reading comic books when the time that he did that. I picked some of those issues up later, and it took me a little while to, it's like, okay, I see what you're doing. And yeah, it's cool. You know, I thought it was cool, but it took me a little while to get over it because the Ross Andrews Spider-Man was always my Spider-Man. for better, for worse, whatever. I love the swing here. Spider-Man in the adorable webbing, chum. He comes down and yeah, I always thought Ross Andrew did kind of a mixture between Ditko and Romita. He still made him kind of muscly and not as creepy as Todd, Spider-like as Ditko and McFarlane did, but because Romita made him more upright and muscly and less spidery looking, but more of a classic clean look. And the orb kidnaps Roxanne here, and Ghost Rider's not having it. Ghost Rider's going to go after him here, and one of the orb's goons kicks Spidey right in the ribs there. And of course, the orb uses the zombified audience to come out and block the path. He's got a slide on his side here. It's like I got to skid before I kill someone, but the orb is getting away. Don't sweat it, GR. That won't stop Spider-Man. Somebody, perhaps Web Slinger, but Ghost Rider can stop you with one well-aimed bolt of hellfire. Now, why would he stop him? He comes down right here. It comes down. It almost looks like he's hurting his ankle or anything, but or something like that. But he comes down. I just like these poses. I like Ross Andrews' poses of Spider-Man. Forgive me, Spider-Man, but I had no alternative. Roxanne is my responsibility. Johnny Blaze called the Ghost Rider. Each of us has something the other wants, so I offer you a trade. The life of Roxanne Simpson in exchange for complete ownership of the cycle show that bears your name. So now we see the plot. He wants to take over his cycle show. That's kind of a weird way of going about it. I mean, it is the Ghost Rider cycle show, right? I mean, Ghost Rider's not going to cooperate. Amazing, though. Orr's voice is speaking us through the mouth of the people, of those he still control. At least we know what this is all about. That's just peachy, but you have a plan to do anything about Bug Eye's ultimatum? Only thing I can do, Spider-Man, I'm going to give him ownership of this show. So you see a little, I guess this is a dank, dark, hidden chamber nearby. How convenient. Not crazy about the Orb's costume here. I like the boots, okay, but the helmet, of course, is the big visual that gets you. Snap. Get out of the trance, Roxanne. What have I done? Where am I? Why have you done this to me? And who are you? Who am I? Yes, I suppose it's difficult to recognize me through my special helmet. Yeah, duh. Not that you would, of course. After all, you haven't seen me since you were an infant. My name is Drake Shannon, Roxanne. And once many years ago, I was your father's partner. So, okay, that explains a lot. I read this after I bought this book for like maybe 30 cents used, and it wasn't in that great a condition at the used bookstore. I think I bought it around 1978, something like that. I'm like 9 years old. I wasn't really, I read through it, but I was just, I basically liked it for the visual of the orb. I thought it was cool. And I just liked Ross Andrews' art. Lin Wein was good too as a writer. He's one of my favorite writers. He did a good run on the Hulk in the 70s. He did an awesome run on the Fantastic Four around that same time. Looks like he skid out here. Looks like that Shannon Drake skid out on his face here. I swerved to knock Crash out of the running because they were in a race, I guess, and he was trying to knock him out. Maybe it was Grease Slick. Maybe it was Grease Slick, a rock on the road. But Crash kept his cycle steady while mine skidded out of control at 95 miles an hour. My motorcycle threw me, Roxanne. And my momentum sent me scuttering along the tarmac for more than 25 yards on my face. And of course, you can see, ooh, that was so cool. That creeped me out when I was young. As you can see what happened here. Now, that's a little extreme, I think, that looks like somebody dumped a vat of hydrochloric acid on him. She's like, I like this expression, like, oh, gasp. No. Your face is horrible. It is indeed. Oh, that's going to make him feel really good. So Ghost Rider somehow finds him and brings the contract. Sorry, Blaze, but with these papers in my hand, I'll finally rest easy in this life, perhaps. Come, Roxanne, let us away from this madman's lair. Fool, do you think you're really going to let you walk away? Tell the authorities I forced the papers from you? I suppose it was a foolish notion. They're about ready to open fire on him. And here comes Spider-Man. I like this. This is a Ross Andru. He did this a lot in his run on Amazing Spider-Man, where Spider-Man wraps his legs around some kind of henchman dude and his tongue is sticking out like, ugh. That's a cool pose, though. I like this backflip here. Bam. He just slugs this dude. And here's Ghost Rider with his little hellfire. The orb escaping with Roxanne. So you're going to see Spider-Man jump on a motorcycle. It's not the Spider-Mobile. There's a couple issues of Amazing Spider-Man where you saw him on a motorcycle as well. Ouch, this big bruiser. This is a big bruiser, really? It's more difficult to control than the little 200cc job I used to have. Yeah, the spider cycle. These blamed tracks aren't making it easier to, hey, there they are. Keep away from me, Blaze, I warn you. And he's got a laser gun. They're like, a laser gun? Those who gave me this helmet also supplied me with this. Oh. I know who supplied him. It's spilled out in a later issue, like 7 years down the road in Marvel Comics. 7 years real time, not like Marvel Comics time. Who supplied the orb with this helmet and this laser gun? It was a character called the Machine Smith. It was in a issue of Captain America by Roger Stern and John Byrne, if my memory's right. They're chasing him down this tunnel. They're going up some stairs. Stay away from me, fools, or die. And he keeps zapping him with that laser. Spidey grabs Roxanne with the webbing. They've stolen my edge. And the chase goes on here. You're really going to outrun Ghost Rider? And of course, he jumps on the tracks. He tries to, only an instant to save myself. If only this tunnel is high enough. Made it right under the wire. And I still don't think that kills Ghost Rider. It's 1973, and they haven't really tapped into how powerful Ghost Rider is. I don't think a subway train's gonna smear him. I mean, the guy can fight the Hulk toe to toe, basically, at times. I don't know. They kind of dumb his powers down. I guess depending on who's riding him or something. Who knows? I like this part. So the orb is dead, supposedly. Farewell, Spider-Man. Perhaps when we meet again, I'll look forward to it, Ghosty. Hey, wait a minute. Did he not say he's wearing a mask? And he said that earlier. So that's and then next issue, Spidey and Captain Marvel. Spidey, Captain Marvel, and a brand new menace. Beware the Basilisk, my son. So that's a look at good old Marvel Team Up number 15 from 1973. One of the first back issues that I ever got my hands on. Of course, I was too young. I didn't start even looking at comic books until 1975. And I didn't start, looking at them on the spinner racks until late 75. And that's going to take me to my next I'm not going to go over this whole book, but this was my first time seeing the Orb, and this is not the first appearance. That Marvel team up was the first appearance, but the Orb would return in a couple years down the road. Most supernatural hero of all, Ghost Rider, number 14. Ghost Rider, Marvel Spotlight, number 15 was his first appearance, but Ghost Rider, he got his own comic book for a little while. They were writing that Evil Knievel wave, but here he is. He's back, the Uncanny Orb. What a cool action as you like it. I like how they just put it right there on the. But this was the first time I saw the Orb. This was late 1975. My mom wouldn't buy this for me though. I begged her and whined and screamed and cried at the grocery store for her to buy this for me. But she wouldn't buy me a comic book until the following year, Avengers 152. That was my very first comic book that I ever had my mom purchased for me from the grocery store. She just thought this looked too scary. This big eyeball shooting this laser beam. And she was like, no, I'll buy you a Richie Rich comic book. And I was like, Mom, I don't want a Richie Rich comic book. I want Ghost Rider against the Uncanny Orb. But I did get to look through it. While she went off grocery shopping, I would sneak back to the spinner rack and sit there and read through all the comic books that I can. I'd thumb through them until they told me to leave, or, the clerk would yell at me or something. But this is George Tuska doing the art. So not as, in my opinion, not as cool as Ross Andrew, but, it still looks good. Tony Isabella, the writer. Vince Collette is the inker. George Tuska is the artist. George Tuska basically, to me, he's best known as the long Iron Man run that he did in the 70s. But as you can see, more Ghost Rider, and there we go. There's the Orb, but that's impossible. You're dead, and he's doing the zombie thing with the people again. So basically, it's the same thing. So, and right here, Marv Wolfman, the editor of the book here, and we saw it too in Marvel Team Up number 15. So the Orb would return. So I'm not going to go over this comic book. I just wanted to show one of the villains, one of the visuals that made me really start going to the spinner rack and really getting into consuming these Marvel comic books. If I could get my mom to agree to buy it for me. So yeah, it's gonna wrap it up on that one.